What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's talk Tottenham. It is so good to be back. I was over on Twitch. I was talking to KT. It was a great time. But yeah, it's good to be back in the familiar world of the YouTubes. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Literally 5 minutes before I was about to go live, I just refilled my cup of coffee. I felt so good about it, and yeah, and then all of a sudden, I'm just I'm stuck. I come in, I've got nothing going on, and yeah, it's just everything was down. Everything was down. So glad we're here. Ah, good morning, Matt. And welcome everybody. We are live. I'm so bummed because I had a whole show lined up, and we're gonna do it. I don't know when. I got to figure out a time. This hour. I blocked this out. I've got a family. I've got yeah, a family, and I've got work responsibilities and stuff like that. So 7 to 8 in the morning, at least for me, this is the perfect time uh, to be able to do something like this. So it's such a bummer. And I got audio submissions from Techno and Regina, and we're going to get to those. I want to make sure that people get their voice heard and get to share their thoughts, because that's the whole point of this, is to talk Tottenham. And yeah, hey, Thomas, it's all right. We will make it happen another time, but of course that's the whole point about this, is to get people in. And yeah, so I'm hoping, even in just a second here, I'll be able to connect with Alex. And let's see. Give me one sec. Everything is a little bit wonky this morning. And we're going to talk a little bit about this Europa draw. We're going to talk about uh, Palace and just hang out a little bit. What's going on? Your Spurs, bro. Yes, I know. What's going on here? I feel like lots to talk about. A little bit of a disappointing weekend, but it is what it is. I feel like we're still top of the table. Everybody else dropped points, and it's no big deal. Alex, I see you're on the call. You're welcome to just hop on whenever. This is kind of at this point, we're just talking Tottenham, having some fun. So whenever you're ready to go live, you can unmute yourself and join the
Hello.
conversation. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy with that draw, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that's so an Austrian team?
Yeah, Wolfsburger. So they're the fake Wolfsburg. So you've got Wolfsburg from Germany, and then you've got Wolfsburger from Austria. So
Gotcha.
I had a little look at them, and they seem to be doing all right in the league. But yeah, we'll have to see. I think out of all of the teams we could have had, it was one of the better teams, and compared to the rest of the Premier League teams in the Europa, the only ones that had a decent draw with Leicester. Um, Arsenal got Benfica. United got
Did they
Sociedad,
really
which
get
is probably
Benfica? Dude, so literally I was hoping that would happen so Yan can just knock him out, and just we can all celebrate that together. You know what I mean?
yeah. So you've got the Jan situation, and then obviously we've got Fernandez at the club still, and there's rumours that he might be returned in January.
Right.
So there might even be two players playing in that game, but yeah, that's a big game. I think the biggest draw was the Sociedad United game.
Yep.
You've Januzaj and Silva both play, actually, and Monreal, I believe, play at Sociedad.
Okay.
So there's going to be a couple of sort of ex Premier League players there to haunt United.
Dude, that's
And
wonderful.
also, by that point, they might not have Pogba anymore. So, um,
Which would be
you know,
crazy. I feel like Pogba, do you rate Pogba?
I have done in the past.
Yeah.
I think for the last sort of 18 months, 2 years, it seems to be having the same sort of crisis that Delhi's having.
That's
Um,
literally
you
what I
know,
was about to say, is I feel like Deli and him have been talking, and they're like drinking the same Kool-Aid, because they're just falling off. And it's it's a bummer, because you hope people succeed, but I mean, this is multiple managers now for Pogba.
I think I think the weird thing with Pogba is he always performs for France.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of can't doubt his quality because he shows it every so often.
Yeah.
And even with United, his agent Raiola
Yeah.
came out last week and made a load of comments to the press, and then Ole ended up playing him in the Leipzig game,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just I don't know. I think look, at the end of the day, from a United perspective, it's a difficult one because he's on huge wages. He
Totally.
doesn't turn up enough. So if you're talking about renewing a contract on the money that he's on, it's a difficult one even for United because you can offer him a new contract. He doesn't seem happy there anyway, so it's probably not worth it.
Yeah.
But remember, in the summer, they were saying that he was going to sign a new contract and they were waiting for United to offer one. Well,
Yep.
seems like United are probably fed up with
Yeah.
the whole situation and want rid of him. The biggest issue is you got to find a club in this financial climate. And remember that the Premier League clubs are doing bad, but the European clubs are doing much worse.
Yeah. Yep.
So will they have the money to A, pay a transfer fee, and B, cover Pogba's wages? And at the moment, I can't see many clubs that can. I think there might be a like for like a sort of direct swap for other players. There's
Yeah.
been rumours of that. And I've even been chatting to my mate about the possibility of Dybala going the opposite way to them,
Yeah.
as they were looking for someone of his profile in the summer. So I don't know. I think it'll be an interesting one, but I think it's a much bigger problem than we've got with Delhi. Pogba's a bit older. He cost them 80, 90 million.
Mm-hmm.
As you've mentioned before, Delhi cost us 5 million.
Yep.
It's just more the fact that I think a lot of Spurs fans still love him. I
Well,
know that was
yeah,
being
and I
told.
think so many, so many of the other big six clubs, right? They've got these um, huge names. They paid so much for them. Their wages, I'm thinking about, Özil over at Arsenal. Manchester United, they've got Pogba. I mean, they've got Alexis Sanchez woes. I mean, they've got so much, um, yeah, money riding on these players. So when they don't do well, when they don't perform, it's a huge bummer. We got a couple comments in here. Let's see really quick. We've got Merrick said gutted with the draw against Palace. Worst performance from Regulon since he joined. Spurs International said Wolfsburger right now sits seventh in the league behind the likes of RB Salzburg, Lask, and Rapid Wine. And I'm probably saying that name wrong.
Yeah, no.
Everybody says my name wrong.
And then let's see. Also, by the way, Antwerp got Rangers. That could have been us. Still winnable, but I think Mourinho did well in going for the win of the group. Yeah, I agree with that. And then lastly, according to Duncan Castle, PSG are looking at getting Pogba as a way to convince Mbappe to stay. They are good friends. Yeah, maybe. And Alex, you were talking about the TV deal falling
Yeah,
through.
that's a really good point. It's funny how a comment brought that up, but yeah, I mean, I think obviously a lot of people that watch the Premier League don't particularly watch
Everybody
much of
says my
League
name
One,
wrong.
but in France, but there was an announcement about a week ago that the largest broadcaster in France is going under. There's been clarification of that. They're basically going bankrupt, and they have a deal with League One. I've seen figures of 2.5 billion euros. I'm not
It's
sure how many
insane.
years that's over. Apparently, 800 million euros a year, but effectively, no money will be going into League One's pockets as of January the 31st. They don't have a broadcast deal for France as it stands. They're in negotiations with Canal, the
Can you
Spanish
imagine what
broadcast.
that's going to do to some of those teams? I mean,
Oh,
like
it's
not
terrible.
PSG, of course, because they're just like fully loaded. But I mean, some of those smaller clubs, I don't know. Like, what would that do to teams in England?
Well, I think in the UK it's slightly different. I mean, we have really big deals with a lot of foreign broadcasters, so it's still a huge percentage. I think from memory, it's like 25% or 30% of TV revenue comes from Sky, BT, and Amazon Prime.
Right.
So it's still a huge percentage. But League One is, I mean, the majority of the people that watch League One are in France, right? It's not as international as the Premier League.
Yeah.
They're going to be relying on that paycheck heavily, especially as you mentioned, some of the smaller clubs. So I think PSG, they can afford to survive. Obviously assuming FFP
Yeah,
is somewhat suspended or something if it does come to that. But I think the hope at the moment is that they find another broadcaster.
yep,
But either way, just to clarify, whoever does buy the broadcasting rights for the future, they're not going to be paying anywhere near the money. So no matter what, as it stands right now, all of those League One clubs are going to experience a downturn in revenue. There's
totally,
no broadcaster at the moment looking to bid anywhere near the 800 million euros or whatever it was that the
yep,
existing contract was. So that's a big deal for, especially, I mean, now that that's PSG was mentioned there with regard to Pogba, but I think you and I were talking about PSG because they've been linked to Deli
yeah,
Ali
right,
in a possible loan. And I think that makes the loan a little bit more realistic, right? Deli's wages aren't huge. I think they're about 150K a week,
yep.
which PSG isn't massive, and
Now,
they
do
could
you
get him.
know, Alex? Sorry to interrupt you really quick. Just do you know if on a loan like that, because so many of Spurs' contracts are bonus driven.
Yeah,
So is that like they take the whole contract as it is? If the more he
loan.
scores, the better, or assists, or
I
whatever.
mean, yeah, the loans depend on the individual deal. I mean, the club can literally say, look, you cover his entire contract.
Yeah,
During this period, or in the case of Gareth Bale, for example, we're paying 40% of his wages.
right.
So it really depends, and I think with Fernandez, we're paying all of his wages. So
Yeah,
it depends on what the structure is with the fee and then the wages. And I mean, realistically, it's all the same pot of money anyway.
yep,
I can see PSG being happy to cover those wages and maybe no loan fee, for
yeah,
example. So from our perspective, we get a player off the books that isn't likely to play as it stands.
yep,
And PSG will benefit from that and not have to pay any money for a permanent signing. And obviously, from a risk perspective, they're not going to have to tie themselves down to 3-4 year contracts when
totally.
their revenue is declining. So
Well,
yeah, I
let's.
mean, it's an interesting one. I hope it happens for Delhi's sake. But
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, chat. If let me know, what do you guys think? Do you think that it would be good for Spurs, good for Delhi, get a loan move to PSG? Um, Obviously, I feel at this point, and Spurs International here on the chat, he tweeted about this, saying like that Spurs fans are kind of going through the stages of grief with Delhi, and I feel like that is true. But I'm kind of almost to the acceptance part, right? Like I feel like at this point, I mean, he's been iced out, but we haven't really missed him. Like I don't really sense that we are um, doing poorly without him. We've been playing well. I mean, Bale isn't even getting into the side at times. So yeah, I feel like what do you think, Alex? Do you think it's time to go?
I don't think it's time to go. I think it's time to go on loan for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
I want to see Delhi. The problem is when players get into this situation is he needs game time. He needs to, build up that confidence again. And at the moment, there's no way he's getting into that Spurs team. And the problem
Yeah.
is that if the team was drawing and losing every week, I'd have more of an issue with it. But we're unbeaten in our last 11 in the Premier League.
Yeah.
We've only lost 2 games all season, and actually, those 2 games, I believe Delhi featured in both the games that we lost.
Mm,
From memory, I think he played in that Antwerp game and he was pulled off by Jose.
yeah.
But he definitely played in that Everton game. I think that was his only start this season, or
Mm,
one of his
mm-hmm.
only starts. So, I think if he goes there, look, I'm open to him staying longer term. I think you can't throw out English players that have talent. We know he's got the talent.
Totally.
We've seen it before.
Well, he's young player of the year, back to back. Um, and he's definitely got the talent. I don't know if you can teach desire. Like I don't know if you can teach or train a person to have that inner, like what Hoybier's got, right? Like Hoybier is so driven to win. I had a clip lined up that I was going to use just talking about his post-match interview with Spurs TV, where basically he's you can just tell he's so disappointed that we didn't get all 3 points against Palace, that he's all he can talk about is 3 points against Liverpool. Like he's like, well, we move on to Wednesday and we get 3 more points on Wednesday, and I just feel like that I want that for Delhi. I feel like Kane has that, but he's kind of like a quieter strength, like lives by example kind of thing. Hoybier's obviously a talker. You got Joe Hart, that's obviously a talker. Um, but I don't know about Delhi. I feel like he's just so like fun, a little bit playful, and that's great. Like it's good to have around the dressing room, but I don't know if that bodes well for him long term in terms of his career. Like,
Yeah.
is
I
he
mean,
just
the
yeah?
problem is that we all love the fact that him and Eric Dyer and Son used to have this sort
Oh,
of banter
totally.
and stuff. But I mean, at the end of the day, and the documentary exposed a little bit of his childish nature as well. You know,
Yeah,
throwing and throwing strops all the time. I
totally.
mean, look, he needs to realize that there are other things that are important other than his boohoo contract, his
Yep.
snapbacks, and all of that he does, which are important to him. And
Yeah.
you know, he probably makes a lot more money outside of football than he does in football.
Yep.
But I think it's a classic case where a few years ago it was like, oh, Delhi should be paid 200k a week, etc., etc. He should leave Tottenham and get higher wages.
Yep.
Well, now he's probably lucky to have that wage, and it's similar to the situation with Danny Rose when he complained about it and became a bit spoiled years ago.
Yeah.
He went to the Sun and did that interview with the Sun, and then it turned out that actually from then on he became pretty rubbish, and he was still making 80 grand a week or whatever we were paying him. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think with Delhi, look, he's 24, 25. I'm not sure exactly what, it's just off the top of my head, but look, he's still relatively young. Look, seeing Kane this season shows you that, we thought we had seen the best of Kane. Some of the pundits were saying now it's just going to be a steady decline for him. And then he's just come out of nowhere and playing the way that he's playing. So I'm not convinced that his career is over in general. I'm
Yeah.
not convinced yet it's over at Tottenham. I think that Levy will never sell a homegrown player when we've got a homegrown issue of
Yeah.
his quality unless it's big bucks. And I can't see any big club paying big bucks for Delhi at the moment. So
Totally. Yeah, we got a couple comments in here. Delhi is, being only 24 years old. He's had an amazing rise without any real downturn. Played even out of form. This is his first real challenge, which I think is a good point. According to reports, Levy is willing to let him go, but full market price would be like 100 million pounds, which means we're not really willing to sell him. Loan, yes, if he pushes for it. Guys, I'm so bummed about this. I've got to end the call because it's 8 o'clock, and that's just how it is for my schedule right now. But I'm gonna still do a video. With everybody's thoughts and stuff like that. It just won't be live. Alex, thanks for hopping on really quick and being flexible about all this. I really appreciate it.
no problem. Yeah, guys, follow my Twitter as well.
Yes. Yes, I will put a link to your Twitter in the YouTube description. It's at Crying Sun on Twitter. He's super fun to follow. Little bit of banter here and there. Definitely a lot of great hot takes. So yes, follow him. You can follow me at Let's Talk THFC. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 500 by the end of the year. That would be awesome. We'll see how it goes. But thanks so much for watching. And as ever,